He preached for a long time. Hours and hours and hours. So there's 20,000 people there. The disciples are with him. And they're like probably side stage. You know, they're just kind of chilling right here, right here. I mean, they're ready. Now, the disciples were hungry. How do we know that? Well, because they started speaking for the people. Everybody here is hungry, Jesus. We've been here for hours. When is he going to stop? He made that point yesterday. Every time we have all this group of people, he's saying the same thing to some of these people. I mean, we're kind of hungry, Jesus, and there's nothing here. So the disciples pictured them having this conversation like, we need to tell him, get his attention. Can you flag him down? No, he's in the middle of his 14th point on this subject. But the people are into it. They're just loving listening to the words of Christ. And so finally I could see the disciples. One of us has to go. Okay, Andrew, go tell Jesus. Go tell him. What am I going to tell him? Tell him the people are hungry. Don't tell him we're hungry. It's about the people. Remember, we're learning to be pastors. It's about the people. Has nothing to do with us. So, all right. So just tell them. What am I going to tell them? Tell them they're hungry. And so the sun is setting here. There's no electricity, mind you. They'll have that one day. There's no electricity here. And there's no place to eat. And as a matter of fact, some of them have come from long distances. They need to stay somewhere. And they got to leave now in order to make it because it's going to be dark. They got to eat and have lodging. And they can come out for tomorrow's service. Andrew. So that's what you want me to tell him? Yeah, just go tell him. Okay, Andrew. Excuse me, Messiah. Yes, Andrew. Can't you see I'm preaching here? Yes, sir, I know. But the hour's getting late. The sun is starting to set. We've been here all day, which has been awesome, by the way. But I have a message for you. Oh, from who? Oh, well, it's actually from the people. We just hear what the people are looking for, and they're hungry, and and there's nothing here to feed them. We're in a desolate place. It's a hillside, so they don't eat grass. They're not cattle, and so they need to go to the restaurants down the street. So can we maybe wrap this up? And I will personally, and the 12 of us, we've all agreed, we will go and help them go to their places, and then we can call it a night and come back to church tomorrow. And Jesus says, so what's the problem again? He said, the people, they're hungry. And he said, oh, okay, the people are hungry. All right, go feed them. Do what, Jesus? Yeah, you said they were hungry. That's the problem, right? Okay, here's the solution. You go feed them. Now, if you excuse me, I have another point. Yes, Jesus. What did he say? Did you tell him the people were hungry? Well, yeah. And he came up with an answer. Oh, great. So we can finally get out of here. Yeah. But here's one problem, guys. Well, what's the problem? He said, you feed them. You meaning who? He said, well, you meaning like you as in plural. We have to feed the people. What do you mean? We don't have anything. As a matter of fact, there's just that boy over there. You see that boy? Now, in the Gospel of John, we see that a boy had the 5 loaves and 2 fishes. But in this Gospel, in Luke, you don't see that it was a boy. So the boy had the Long John Silver's 2-piece meal that he was just trying. He wasn't even in the crowd. He wasn't going to church. He's just trying to get home. And he walked a long time. Because this is a desolate place. So the boy just had a few extra rolls, 2-piece meal, a couple extra pieces of bread, please. Yes, sir. And he's just grabbing through. And Peter looks at him and says, boy, we need your stuff. Isn't it interesting that the generosity of a boy changed the course of 20,000 people? So they had this resource, and so they said, this is all we've got. Yeah, and Long John's is like 3 hours away. There's no way. As a matter of fact, he says it would take, if you hear it, he says it would take we don't have the money to feed them. And if you look at the other translation, it says it would take about 8 months of work to feed these guys. 8 months of labor to feed everybody. So they push Andrew out. Go show Jesus. All we have is Long John's, and then it's just a single meal. He's going to say, this isn't enough, and then he'll let everybody go. Okay, got it. Go. Excuse me, Jesus. Yes, Andrew. How are you coming along with the assignment? Well, sir, we tried. We talked about it, came up with a strategy. Unfortunately, there's no place around, and all we have is this. What do you have? A 2-piece meal. And John was trying to eat it first. I mean, I have about 4.5 loaves, really, but who's counting? Oh, Jesus says, perfect. that's going to be enough. That's enough for what we're about to do. And Jesus took both of them, the fish and the loaves, and he blessed them. He blessed them. He gave thanks for them. He broke it, and he gave it to the disciples, and he said, go feed the people. And then something crazy happened. I mean, I can picture Peter getting his half of a loaf because Jesus broke it. And he said, okay, go to your first 50. There's 400 groups of 50. Go to your first 50. And Peter's like, he walks down and he's like, okay. And I could see he's like, okay, this is going to feed this group of 50. And so he goes over to the first person. And I could just picture Peter being like, here, don't drink too much. Don't drink a little, just a little bit. This cannot last. The heat is going to kill me if I just. And all of a sudden, in the small-mindedness of this is not going to be enough for the people, something miraculous took place right in the hand of the disciples. Every one of them experienced the same thing. It started to multiply. Because adding wasn't going to be effective. What good is if you just add 3 pieces? It needed multiplication. And the scripture says that the disciples would even come back to Jesus. Whatever he kept was multiplying too. And so it's just amazing that Jesus required something. See, the miracle took place. I know that the heading says Jesus feeds the 5,000, but isn't it interesting that the miracle happened not in the hands of Jesus? The miracle happened in the hands of the disciples.